Hare Krishna and welcome. We are finishing our Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam study. It's a summary, actually a deep study we did of the first canto, chapter 2, called Divinity and Divine Service. And we took a break because we were supposed to go to Rath Yatra last Saturday. But because of the rain, we didn't have Rath Yatra in Philadelphia, but we're doing it. So last Saturday was going to be the last class. Today is the last class. We're doing a summary of the whole first canto, chapter 2, the whole chapter 2. So Hare Krishna and welcome. And so we'll repeat our invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, first canto, chapter 2 is called Divinity and Divine Service. So by Krishna's blessing and the inspiration of Swayam Bhagavan Keshava Maharaj, put together an acronym that summarizes the entire chapter. And so the acronym is Divine. So the first verses are D is for dignify, and he's going to glorify. Vyasa is going to set the scene, and then he's going to glorify his guru, Sukadeva Goswami. He's going to glorify the sages for their questions, and that's how we want to start things. We want to give some, all praise to where we got our information. Like, if you want to learn ballet from a textbook, you're not going to get anywhere. It comes from a living tradition, teacher, disciple. It's passed down in that way. So what to speak of something even more refined, even more intricate, even more full of detail and finesse, right? So this is how it starts. Vyastuvacha iti samprashna samhrishto vipranamra maharshanai Pratipujas vachastejam pravaktam upachakrame. So he is saying, iti samprashna samhrishto vipranam. So I feel like this is where we get the book title, Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers. So iti samprashna. Matthew, who's watching maybe he's watching on Instagram. Do you have any prashnas? Or Kalachanji Dasi, any prashnas? Prashna means question. Iti sam prashna. Sam is where you get this word sankirtan, means complete. Perfect or complete questions, and samhrishta, perfect satisfaction or perfect answer. Iti sam prashna samhrishto vipranamra maharshanai pratipujas vachastejam pravakram upachakrame. So he's thanking all the sages for their perfect questions. And then he begins to glorify. Suta Goswami begins to glorify Vyas. Suta uvacha yam pravajantam anupetam apeta krityam dvaipayano viraharakatara ajuhava putreti tanmayataya taravo vinedustam sarvabhuta hirayam munimanatosmi yasvanubhavam akilam shutasaramekam adyatmaripam atitirtishatam samandam Sansarinam Kurnayaha Purana Guhyam Tam Yasasunam Upayami Kurum Muninam. He says, no, I have no perfect questions, Matthew says. So Yam Pravajantam. Pravajanta means Pravirajikacharya. He wanders. Yam Pravajantam Anupetam Apeta Kirtan. He left every home wandering without even going through the ceremonies that one goes through in civilized life in the Vedic culture. People have various ceremonies. There's, of course, most common are marriage ceremonies, or there's first grain ceremonies. So there's these various ceremonies that help to uplift the consciousness and bring the consciousness to the lotus feet of Krishna, to lotus feet of the Supreme Being. So he left home without even doing any of those things because he was quite advanced. He was beyond Parirajikacharya. He was Paramahamsa. So yam pravajantam anupetam apeta kritam dvaipayano. So this is Dvaipayano is Vyas. Dvaipayano vira harakatara ajuha vira. He's feeling separation from his son. He calls out, oh, putreti. Putreti tanmayataya taravo vinedus. He's calling, my son, my son, my son. And the only thing that responds is the echoes bouncing up from the trees. Taravo vinedus. To this, to this guru who can enter the heart of everyone, that guru, I offer my respectful obeisances. So like this, we offer our respectful obeisances to great sages like this, so they can enter our hearts and help give knowledge and guidance. And then he says, Yaswanu bhavam akilam shutasaramekam. So he completely digested all the Shruti Saramekam, the Sara, the essence of all the Shrutis, completely, all together. Shruti Saramekam Adhyatma Deepam, fixed in the eternal. Adhyatma Deepam Atitir Shatam Tamandam. Tirta is like I think they call it a ford, where the water is very shallow. Vrindavan Prabhu. This is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Welcome. First canto, chapter 2, the whole chapter. This is our memorization class, and we're just finishing the whole memorization of the whole chapter. So when you can cross the water very easily because the land is very high, that is called a tirtha. So ati tirshatam tamandam, those who really want to cross over this dark material existence, which is like a dark well. They take Adhyatma Deepam, they take this light of spiritual knowledge called the Bhagavatam, Purana Guhyam, which is the great secret of the Vedas. Tam Yasa Sunam Upayami to Guru Muninam. To this great Sunam, son of Yas, Upayami Guru, he's a great, he's a sage among the Munis. He's the Guru of the Munis. I offer my respectful obeisances. And then I also offer respectful obeisances. Narayanam Namaskrityam, Naram Chaiva Narottamam, Devam Saraswatim Vyasam, Tato Jayam. He's offering respectful obeisances to to Nara and Narayan Rishis, the great sages, whom have appeared more recently as in the form of Arjuna and Krishna. There were twins that appeared as Nara and Narayan Rishi, and Narottam as the supreme being, Narayan himself. Narottam and Divya Saraswati, divine Saraswati, not the ordinary Saraswati of the material world, but the original Saraswati. Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiret. This way I call out Jai, Jayat. And then Munaya Sadhu Prishtoham Bhavadvir Lokamangalam Yatkutta Krishna Samprashno Yenatma Suprasidati. So Munaya Sadhu Prishtoham. These questions presented by the sages, Munaya Sadhu Prishtoham. They're sadhu, they're very good. Sadhu Prishtoham. You have questioned me very nicely. Sadhu Prishtoham Bhavad Bir Loka Mangalam. And they actually create auspiciousness to this world. Bhavad Bir Loka Mangalam Yat Krita Krishna Samprashno. As only these kinds of questions, Yat Krita Krishna Samprashno, Yenatma Suprasiditi. Only these type of questions can actually produce Suprasiditi, complete satisfaction of the self. And so that is the first section. Is D is for divine, and this acronym divine, D is for dignified. So he glorified the sages, he glorified Sukadeva Goswami, he glorified the sages for their questions, and Vyasa set the whole scene. But now he's going to answer the two main questions that were given. There are 6 questions given in the first chapter of Bhagavatam, and 4 of them are answered in the second chapter. What is the essence of all scripture, and what is that which is most valuable? And so inquiries answered. D.I.V.I.N.E. I is the next letter in this acronym, the acronym divine of this flow of the chapter. So I is inquiries answered. So the famous verse, Savaipum Samparo Dharmo Yato Bhaktir Adhokshaje Ahaituki Apatihata Yayatma Suprasidati. The essence of all Dharma, the essence of all religion, is that by which one can attain loving devotional service unto that transcendent Lord, Adhokshaje, who's beyond the adyas, he's beyond the eyes. ahaituki patihata. It must be without any hetu, without any cause. Haitu means it's not motivated by any type of material benefit. And a patihata, it's without a type of cessation. It is constant, it's incessant. Ahaituki apratihata. And that type of devotional, that type of dharma, this devotional service, which is identified as without motivation and incessant, it is yatma suprasidati. It brings satisfaction to the self. And so Savai Vasudevi Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayodhita Janati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yadu Haitikam. So, and who is this devotional service specifically for? Vasudeva, Krishna himself. Vasudevi Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayodhita Janati Ashu Vairagyam. And it has this byproduct that it brings with it detachment, and it brings with it knowledge. In many yogic paths, you have to develop detachment before you can apply some of the principles. Like in chapter 6 Bhagavad Gita, and it says yoga arudasya, that there's yoga arudha, and then there's another term, and it describes that for someone who in the beginning stage they must engage in this material world, and that is the path for them. And those at the higher stage, they must renounce this world. This is chapter 6, verses. So there's this prerequisite of detachment that is there to go along the path of Ashtanga Yoga. There's a prerequisite of knowledge. There's various prerequisites that are there. But Bhakti, Krishna, automatically, it's like you go to you come with your diapers on, and you walk to the university, and the professor gives you a degree and says, here's your PhD, but here, let's start. So in the very beginning of Bhakti, one starts to get knowledge and detachment, which are generally kind of borders or blocks that one has to obtain to even progress further. But here, Krishna is saying knowledge attachment comes as an automatic byproduct. So then that's D.I. Next letter is V. And so V is going to expand on this artha, this what is of value, that was answered in those two questions. What is the most essential thing that is of highest value? So Yatma superseded. And what was the last part? Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Dhanati Asivaya Kyanacharya. Dharma Shunushtita Pumsat Vikshvakshena Katasyat Not Paryat Yadiratim Shama Eva Hi Kevalam Dharmasya Hyapavargasya Narta Arto Upakalpate Nartasya Dharmakantasya Kama Labhaya Smitihi Smita. So Dharmasya Hyapavargasya, well, actually Dharmasya, what was the one before that? Sorry. Dharmasya, Dharma Viruddha. Hold on, sorry. My brain just goes in the order that they're, and I skipped one. Database, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, first canto, chapter 2, text number 8. Dharma Shunashtita Pumsa Vikshvakshena Katasyat Notpari Gadiratim Shama Eva Hi Kevalam. So whatever you're doing in the name of religion is simply a waste of time if it doesn't produce rati, attraction to Krishna, or even attraction to his message. If it doesn't actually lead that way, then it's just a waste of time. Dharma Syahyapavagasya. Dharma is for apavarga, and we discussed how, like we're using an acronym now, this is a Vedic acronym, apavarga, pa ma. These are the pa line of the alphabet, and pa stands for hard work, useless labor. Parishrama. Pa stands for pa stands for foam at the mouth, when you work so hard that you even foam at the mouth. Bha stands for banda, vyasati, means bondage. And bha, ba, these are the, if you look at the Sanskrit alphabet, this is the fifth line, the pa line, the pa, varga. And so last one is ba, then there's pa, bhaya, fear, and the last one is ma, death. So these are the elements of material experience, and apavarga means to be liberated from those things. So dharma is actually for liberation. Pavarga. Dharmasya apavargasya narto artha upakalpate. And artha also as well is not for it's not for artha. We don't practice this our spirituality for economic benefit. And even economic benefit, it is not for trying to get kama. And even kama, kamasya nindriya pritya, next verse, labo jivita yavata, jivasya tattva jigyasa, nartayascheha karmavi. Kama is not meant for actually just indriya pritya, satisfaction of the senses. What should you have kama for? What should you have kama for? There's a question for Carmen, Dana Kay, or Matthew, or whoever else is watching. What should you have kama for? Jivasya tattva jigyasa.
Oh, that's desire, right?
Yeah, labo jivita yavata. Yeah, any guess?
You should
Matthew
have
gets Krishna.
desire.
Kama for Krishna.
Oh, I was
That's
gonna say
Matthew, right? Well, here is speaking about material desire. So what should you have? What should your material desire? According to Sutta Goswami, he says you should just want a healthy body. That's it. Why? Jivasya tattva jigyasa. This life is meant for understanding tattva. And so what is tattva? That is answered in the next verse. Vedanti tattva vidas tavadyajanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. So this tattva is a non-dual substance. It's one thing, but it's understood by three different levels or three different terms. Brahman, the impersonal, absolute. Paramatma, the Lord in his particular form as the super aspects of this material creation, and Bhagavan, the supreme, all attractive personality. Danti tattvavidasi tatvadyajganam avayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. So one nice example is smelling the pizza. Smell is pervasive. It's an aspect of pizza, but it's not the whole pizza. Seeing the pizza, then it's localized in one spot. There's some knowledge that comes, some clarity that is there. So that's a paramatma. He gives he is from whom knowledge and clarity comes from. And then tasting the pizza. That is the highest. So you actually experience Bhagavan is the realization where you can actually experience the personality of Godness to the fullest degree. You can experience the sweetness of his relationship. You can experience the sweetness of his personality, his sweet smile, his beautiful eyes, his curly blackish hair, his honey-scented smile, his body has a wonderful, delicious fragrance. His skin has a brilliant radiance like it. Atapum virgvida shreshta varna shrama vibhagasha swanutisasya dharmasya samsiddha haritoshanam. Therefore, he continues, the whole varnashrama, the whole Vedic culture, the whole Hindu culture is actually just for haritoshanam, just to bring satisfaction to Krishna. And then he continues, Tasmad ekena manasa bhagavan satvatam patihi shrutavya kirtitavyascha deya pujasta nityada. Therefore, just tasmat ekena manasa. Therefore, why not just focus on Krishna? with one pointed attention. Tasmat ekena manasa Bhagavan Sattvatam Pati. He's a great protector of his devotees. Bhagavat Sattvatam Pati. He's like the Lord, the Father, the husband, great protector. Patihi. Bhagavat Sattvatam Pati. Shrotivya Kirtitavyascha Dheyas Pujas Nityada. So this way they're always engaged in hearing, chanting, meditating, performing arati upon the Lord. That's what I can do. Yet anudhyasina yukto. Why? What's so special? It cuts away our karmic bondage. Yet anudhyasina yukto karma granti nibandhanam chindanti kovidasya kona korya kataracham. This kata of Krishna is so powerful. It cuts away our karma. And we talk about generational baggage, generational bondage, generational trauma. Krishna chindanti kovidasya kona korya kataratam. Who wouldn't want to listen to this? As Sridhar Goswami is saying, because this cuts away all karmic bondage. So then his first letter was D is for dignify, I is for increase answer, V is for what is this thing of value? What is most valuable? Expanding upon that. And then I, again, D.I.V.I.N.E, in this acronym of divine, is the increments. And so now he's going to speak about the 9 stages, or as Jiva Goswami explains, 14 stages of bhakti. So Shushusho Shadadhanasya Vasudeva Kata Ruchi Syanmat Sevaya Vipra Punya Shravana Kirtana. So it starts off by somehow getting contact with the devotees and performing service, and then comes the interest to hear, then comes some shraddha, some faith, some not necessarily belief or a type of strong faith, but it's more of like an interest and a willingness to apply, to investigate, to interface with with Krishna and his philosophy. Shushoshashabhadanasya vasudeva kata ruchityanmat sevaya vipra punya shravana kirtana shrinvatam swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana vidantashtoha badrani vudanoti suhitsatam. And by this process, the heart, vidanoti, begins to get cleansed, clean. And that's when we actually become much more convinced, because we start to notice changes in our heart. That's the real significance between what's the difference between, like somebody says, oh, you talk about chanting the Lord's name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But I say you can get the same thing from psychedelic mushrooms. But the real test is the heart becoming cleansed? By the process of chanting the holy name, or by the process of taking psychedelic mushrooms, are your material desires reducing? Are you becoming less entangled by material desires? Are you becoming more free? And so that is a test one can apply. I have not seen, someone might claim to have various spiritual visions or spiritualizations, but has psychedelic mushrooms have actually reduced their fever for enjoying the temporary world? Pretty much, I have not seen the case where a person has become a great saintly sadhu by taking some psychedelic mushrooms. But we have seen the case where a person becomes very saintly by taking shelter of the Lord. So Shushushu, then Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu. So it grows, it keeps on getting cleansed and cleansed to the point Nashta Aprayeshu, almost all the things in the heart are cleansed. Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloka Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. So this is heading towards the stage of Naishtaki, Nishta. From the beginning, there are certain obstacles. What are some of the obstacles that is described as Utsahamayi, Ganatarla, Viyuda Vikalpa, Nyakshama, Ganatarla, Makshama, and Taranga Rangini. I think I'm missing one. So Ganatar Maya Utsahamai. Utsaha means enthusiasm, but Maya means kind of bewildered by it, illusioned by it. So a person in the very beginning might feel like, because they notice some changes, they might feel like, oh, I'm the second coming of Jesus Christ. I am something great. I'm a great sadhu, and I'm a great saint. And so that because they've experienced some little change, they might proudly feel themselves to be a great person. Just like a little child might learn a few things, and he might think, oh, I'm almost Einstein. Just entered preschool. So Utsahamai, then is Ghana Tarla, thick and thin, sometimes very diligent, then sometimes quite negligent, feeling very thick into the thick of it, as it was that Backyard Again song. So he feels like very much into it, then he's not feeling so. Then here's Vishaya Sangara, that's the one I missed, Vishaya Sangara, where he is feeling this great tension toward all these rules of don't do this, don't eat meat, don't engage in illicit sexual life, don't gamble, don't take intoxications. He's feeling great tension there. It's like a war he's having with his senses. Vishaya Sangara. But as he grows further, he'll find that it's less of a challenge. And so now, then the next challenge is not so much the don't, but the next challenge is the do's. He may say, I would do this, I would get this many rounds, I'll get up early, I'll do that. And he finds that is also a great challenge. So that is called Niyamak Shama. Then there's Vyuda Vikalpa also. We missed that one. Vyuda Vikalpa is the mind is oscillating between a life of renunciation. I'll give up everything for Krishna. I'll become sannyasi. I'll live in the forest. I will live in Vrindavan, or I'll give up nothing for Krishna. And so this mind is oscillating. Doesn't really know where he should stand, where he or she should stand. A life of utter renunciation, a love of decadent enjoyment. How can I practice? He's very confused. Then the last one, Taranga Rangini. Taranga Rangini means the person tries to enjoy Rangini. The Taranga is the little waves of the ocean of devotional service. So one practices devotional service, Krishna is attractive, and a person practices Krishna consciousness also becomes more attractive, becomes full of good qualities. And then because of this, the devotee may receive honor, prestige, praise, money, may receive so many types of benefits. And then the foolish young devotee feels that, oh, this is the real nectar of life, and tries to enjoy those things. So then these are beginning stage. Then there are further levels of purification, and that karma. Then we're one of the things that we get purified is from bad karma that destroys ignorance. There's 5 that are listed there. I think the 5 kleshas. Then there's good karma, problems with good karma. You know, the desire to enjoy, the desire to merge with the absolute truth. We're used to having things all nice. These are the byproducts of good karma. There's 4 of these things that we are tackling. The third one is problems that are caused by imperfectly performing devotional service, and the last one is due to offenses. So these are the different stages. And then so nishta, Naistiki says nishta becomes very when those things are free. When you become free from the modes of passion and ignorance, you'll find that when you chant, it doesn't make you fall asleep. It makes you awake. When you hear the pastimes and the lectures and the Bhagavatam, it won't make you sleep. Or even if you sit and meditate, you'll be enlivened and enthused. So this is moving from Nishtha to Asakti, this great attachment. And then Asakti comes to Ruchi, where the person has a great taste. And then from Ruchi comes, so that Asakti, Ruchi, and then Bhava. And the stage of Asakti, sometimes the mind will little bit deviate towards material energy, but you easily brought it back. The stage of Bhava on the other side is, or sometimes the mind will be fully immersed. That's the stage of Asakti. And the stage of Bhava is Sakti, I can't remember. It's two stages away from me. One of them is Asakti and Bhava. The other one is like it's at one moment one may for like a millisecond forget Krishna. This is going through the levels of advancement. So tadara justamo bhava kamo lova rayasche cheta ete anadvidam sitam sattve prasidati. So the person becomes situated in sattva. And sattva means everything becomes very clear. That's the characteristic of sattva. We see things very clearly. Evam prasana manaso bhagavat bhakti yogata bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Evam prasana manaso bhagavat. So his mind becomes manasa, becomes immersed in the Lord. Evam prasana manaso bhagavat bhakti yogata bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate, and becomes free from the material conditionings, and he's fully immersed. The next verse is this is how it's great. He's just relishing, he's enjoying, he's feeling great ecstasy. So let me see. I'm mixing up. What is the first word? This is Atovai Kavayo Nityam Bhaktim Paramaya Muda Vasu Devi Bhagavati Kurvanti Atma Prasadanam. So since immemorial devotees have been immersing themselves in bhakti towards Krishna, and it brings great satisfaction. This first part was talking about why bhakti is actually the highest. It's exclaiming bhakti is the highest value. But bhakti to whom? Here it's saying Krishna. And why Krishna? That's going to be discussed. So this is D.I.V.I.N.E, and then the next letter is N. And N is for navigate. And so this is to help us navigate this. So Sattvam Rajastama iti prakriter gunaster yukta para purusha eka hihasya datte sthiti adaya harivirinchi hareti samgya shreyam sitatva kalu sattva ninamshu sattva tanor ninamshu sattva shreyamsi tattva kalor sattva tanor ninamshu. So sattvam rajastama iti prakuter gunaster. So Krishna has these three forms that deal with the modes of nature. Who are the three forms that deal with the modes of nature? Who can say? Who can write on the chat? And which modes do they deal with? Sattvam rajastama iti prakuter gunaster. Who deals with the gunas? Yukta pura purusha eka hihasya dete. Sthiti adaye hari virinshi hareti samgya. So there's Hari, he deals with Sattva, that's Krishna, Vishnu. Then there's Virinshi, which is a name for Brahma. He deals with Rajas. And Hareti, Hara means Shiva, he deals with Tamas. And he says, one can take most advantage with this from Sattva. So if you associate with the Lord who's managing Sattva, who himself is above Sattva, he's Shuddha Sattva, then one can, that is the most beneficial situation. Shreyansi, most Shreya means long term, most benefit. Shreyansi tattva kaloshna pratanam rinamshu. Next verse is Partava dharana dumas. Tasmad agnistrayimaya. Tamasastu rajastasmad satvanyad brahma darshanam. So it's like the wood, the smoke, and the fire. Wood is like tamas, but it is stagnant in the sense of like there's no movement. It's just stuck, no movement. Then there is Partava dharana dumas. Duma is smoke. So smoke is a higher stage, right? If fire is very important in the sense of Vedic rituals, and so smoke is you're almost there, but smoke is agitating to the eyes. So the mode of passion is agitating to the mind. One actually has to learn tolerance to deal with the agitations of rajas, not just to go for it, not just to go whatever the rajas is impelling one to enjoy. Rather, one should invoke tolerance. So sattva partava dharana dumas tasmad agnistrayimaya tamasastu rajastasmad sattvam rad brahma darshana. But sattvam is the best. Fire is the best. Better to have fire than smoke. So better to have sattva. Why? Sattva yad brahma darshana. It is like the window. It's just brahma darshanam. You can see what is spirit. If I can sit outside, and if I sit in this room, I can look outside and I see, because of the window, I can see clearly outside. So in sattva, I can clearly see what is spirituality. Rajas is like being in a room with no windows, but I can maybe hear. I have some sense. It's better. It's better than the wood stage, which is like the stage of being in a soundproof room where you have no awareness beyond your confinement. Sattvam yad brahma darshanam bhejire munyo tagre bhagavantam madokshajam bhejire munyo tagre. So in the beginning, all the great munis, this is what they did. They worshipped Lord Vishnu. Bhejire munyo tagre, agra, in the beginning. Bhagavantam madokshajam. They worshipped this adhokshaja, this being beyond the mind and senses, beyond the eyes, adyas. Bhejire munyo tagre bhagavantam adhokshajam. Shatvam Vishuddham, because he is beyond the modes of goodness, he is Shuddha Sattva, purified goodness. Shatvam Vishuddham Shemaya Kalpante Natanaha. And if you follow them, you will also get the same result. You will deserve the same benefit. Bhagavantam Adhoksham Shatvam Vishuddham Shemaya Kalpante Natanaha. Mamukshavo Gauda Rupam. Hitva Bhuta Patinata Piti Bhuta Bajeshajin Shri Aishwarya Prajep Shabaha. Did I say that one? Mumukshava Gora Rupam Hitva Bhuta Patinatin. Narayana Kalashanta. That was for the next verse part. Narayana Kalashanta Bhajantya Hyana Mustuyavaha. So although the stages are not, they're not full of antagonism, they're not full of envy, they're not full of duality or hostility. They still give up these forms of the devas that many of them are ghora, fearful, scary, and then many of them are shriya, very beautiful. They give up both, and they worship the fully peaceful and spiritual Narayana Kalashanta Bhajantya Hyana Suryavaha. They worship that one who is beyond the modes. Then that's Rajastama Prakritaya Shamashila Bhajanti Vai. Actually, we are invoked to worship by the modes of nature that we become accustomed to, attached to. So for in Rajas and Tamas, Priti Bhuta Prajeshajan, we will be invoked, we will be induced, not invoked, but induced to worship the forefathers in the mode of passion, or the prajas, or the devas, or even the bhutas, the ghosts. We'll be driven by, if we're in the mode of passion ignorance, then our desire to honor something will approach those things that are also in the mode of passionate ears. But Narayana Paraveda, Narayana is beyond he is the essence of the Vedas. Narayana Paraveda, Narayana Paramaka, Narayana Parayoga, Narayana Paramaka, Kriya, Narayana Param Jnanam, Narayana Param, Narayana Param Jnanam, Narayana Param Tapaha, Narayana Paro Dharmo, Narayana Parakatihi. So he's saying all the Vedas are for Krishna. Narayana Paraveda, Narayana Paramaka, all the yajnas are for Krishna. Narayana Parayoga, all yogas for Krishna. And all kriyas, all these fruitive activities, all for Krishna. Narayana Param Jnanam, he is the essence of all knowledge. Essence, he is the purpose of all austerities. Param Tapaha. Narayana Paro Dharma, he is the highest dharma, this relationship with Krishna. And he is the ultimate abode, Narayana Paragatihi. Now, we're hearing this about Narayan, but we know, okay, Vishnu, isn't he a being that's in the material world? Is it Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, Karanadakshaya Vishnu, the super soul of the aggregate universe, the super soul of one universe, and the super soul in each atom in the hearts of all creatures? Isn't he in the material world? Does that make him a materially affected being, as we read in the 10th canto, chapter 38, text 11 this morning? The argument was brought, and Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur challenged this argument. If you're in the house, if it doesn't matter if you own it or you're unaffected, if the house is cold or a house is hot or a house is smoky, you're affected by it, isn't it? So this is disgusting. As we said, navigate. Now the section is the last section is E for Krishna's expansion and incarnation. Why does Krishna appear? And so, Saevedam Sasar Jagre Bhagavan Atmamaya Sarasat Rupaya Chasho Gunamaya Gunabhu. So this is Sarasat, matter, both matter and spirit. Let me see. This is verse. The beginning of creation. Again, that Agra, the beginning. So he enters in his own transcendental position, Bhagavan Atmamaya. By his own power, he enters his material energy. Both sarasat, both matter and spirit, and cause and effect. But it's guna maya gunobhivu. But he's aguna, he's transcendental and the greatest. And saya vilasiteshveshu guneshu gunavaniva antabhavisha abhati viganena vijimbita. Taya vilasiteshveshu. So by his own energy, taya vilasiteshveshu. This is vilasiteshveshu. So although he is within this material nature, and he appears to be one of the beings hanging out here, just like the president and visiting the prison. It appears to be, he is inside the prison. The king is inside the prison. Tayavilasiteshveshu guneshu gunavaniva antabhavisha abhati. So he's just attaching his appearance. It's like a person on the Broadway on a theater show. But he's actually fully vijnanena, fully conscious, unaffected, and vijimbita, fully enlightened, it's unaffected by this situation. Yata vyavito vanir darushveka shvayonishu nanena bhati vishvatma bhuteshu ta tata puman. Bhuteshu cha tata puman. So here another example of wood and fire is given. So the wood is there. It is actually, the fire is actually within the elements of all these things in this room actually have fire in them. This table can go on fire, the wall can go on fire, this plant can go on fire. All these things actually have the potential of fire within them. So Krishna is actually within everything. Darushveka shvayonishu is within every side, and it appears that he is in many different things. Like, okay, now he's in the heart of a duck. Now he's in the part of Matthew. Now he's in the heart of Dana K. Now he's in the heart of Carmen. But it's one thing that's within everything. That's Krishna. He's within the heart of all these beings. So he appears to be one without, he appears to be many varieties, but he's actually one without a second. And Asau Gunamaya Bhavir, Suksmendriya Atmabhi, Swanimiteshu Nirvishto, Bhuteshu Bhuteshu Tadgunan. And so that last verse was about, the verse about Krishna's entering this material energy, and then then enters into the universes, and then he enters into the heart. This also is about that. So he enters into the bodies of all beings, and he makes them experience what they're supposed to experience. Bhute Shitad Gunan, through the modes of material nature. So he makes them eat their own karma. Bhute, to enjoy, to experience. Through the effects of the Suksmendriya, the subtle mind. And then why does he appear in his incarnation? This is in the last verse. And this is going to be further elaborated in chapter 3, where there's going to be so many verses on various incarnations. Bhavitesha satvena lokan bhai lokabhavana lila avatar anurato devantir naradishu. So Krishna appears in various forms, the devas, the Tiryan, the animals, and the humans, Nara. And why does he do this? He comes to reclaim those souls, especially those who are in the Sattva Guna, those who are put themselves in a situation where they're attracted to something great, something wonderful, something pure. As Krishna says, the Chaturvarnam Vaishishtam, there are 4 types of people who surrender unto me, those who are in distress, those who are seeking wealth, those who are curious, but those who are seeking God, those are the best. Those who are seeking what is divinity. So those who are in Sattva, and what to speak of Sattva, it says here, pure goodness. Those who are in that spiritual consciousness, Krishna comes. He comes to perform pastimes that are attractive for everyone, so we can reclaim our position back home, where we are all meant to go back to our home, spiritual world. And so Krishna comes kindly appearing for that purpose. So Om Tat Sat, thanks a lot. That is chapter 2 of the first canto. Any reflections, comments? I know I spoke a little fast.
Impressive. That was wow.
I was trying to get the whole chapter in a timely manner.
That was amazing.
If you find one of these verses, if you're interested, call a friend and say, hey, let me share this with you. But when we do that more and more, we'll find that we will digest it more and more just by sharing it with others.
One thing that came to mind was everything just went into like a really smooth flow. So it would start with like one question, and then that would get answered, and then it would go to another question, and then it was just like very smooth. And everything just seemed so connected.
Nice. Yeah, that when we study it as a whole, then we start to see it that way. And then great teachers like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, or even our study guides done by like Purijan Prabhu, or what's this other devotee's name? Gauranga Darshan Prabhu, who does some Bhagavatam study guides. They show you how this is all coming. Why are they just saying random bits of wisdom? Or we say, oh, actually, he's answering the previous question, and it's going like this, and it's going like that. Nice. How about on Instagram? Any reflections or questions? All right. Any last Dana K, Carmen, anything last questions or comments? Maybe we'll do Brahma Samhita next. Maybe that's where we go. I want to check in with Kashtuba, see if he has any recommendations. But maybe Brahma Samhita is very beautiful. It is very, very beautiful.
That would be very exciting.
Yeah. It'll be challenging.
Alola Chanjakala Sat Vanamalya Vamsi Ratnangadam. So I worship the Lord, around whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers beautified by the moon locket, whose hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, and whose graceful threefold bending form of Shamasundar is eternally manifest. Niyata prakasham govindamadi purusha tamaham bhajami. All right. Well, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Tat Sat.
you.
Thanks a lot.
Hey Krishna, miss you guys.
Haribo. Hare Krishna.